Diablo 3 Beta Level 13 versus Titan's Quest Level 13 Showdown. So here we are in the video specifically about the early game of Diablo 3 Beta, in a pitted battle against Titan's Quest, a full game with expansions. We are also going to mention Torchlight and Grim Dawn later on. Yes, I did say a beta versus a full game plus expansion. If you think that's any reason that the two shouldn't and can't be compared, then you won't like this video, and it's no problem if you stop. If you are staying here, listen on. Action RPGs are about character building, which means the game needs to give you a lot of choice to be entertaining. If character development is taken out of your hands, then you might as well be watching a film. Both things I find really positive and negative about the games will stem from that. Now this is my first versus video, and I needed to come up with a point system in a hurry. And no imaginary point system can really be fair. Sometimes when writing some of these things, I really wanted to jump up and down and give something 10 points for one category just because it does it so well, while the other game does it so poorly. So in the end, I decided to do minor points versus major points per category, and only ever award 1 point for each one. Character Visual Customization. You've just started up the game, and you want to make the coolest character the world has ever seen, and have your own personality digitalized. On Titan's Quest, you can change your shirt color and gender. Not too impressive. On Diablo 3, on the other hand, you can only change your banner and gender. Still pretty poor, but as you do achievements in the game, you get to do some more to said banner. Minor point, Diablo. Level 1 gameplay experience. So you've made your character, you've just started up the game, what have you got? On Titan's Quest, they don't give you a spell, which isn't very fun, but you get to learn most of the weapon mechanics, such as ranged weapons shoot where your enemies were, not where they're going to be like a homing missile, all the standard action RPG stuff. And the value of health potions is pressed upon you very quickly. I can almost guarantee you are going to die if you don't use one. You don't spend a lot of time at level 1 and gain level 2 around the first mini-boss fight. You don't wait long. On Diablo 3, they do give you a spell, but you don't choose what it is. Which in a game where you're supposed to be making your own customized character, isn't a great move. You're basically invulnerable as well. You won't have used a health potion by level 2, and beyond that, but we'll go into that more later. The time it takes to get to level 2 isn't very long here either. 1 minor point to Titan's Quest, 1 minor point to Diablo 3. What the game gives you upon your first level up. Now this is big. This is the game's chance to really say, play me more. Don't get a refund, or play one of your other games. On Titan's Quest, you are presented with a large screen with 9 different classes, all with well-written descriptions. When you finally decide on one of these classes, they give you 3 points to put into that class. The first of which needs to go into the class's base root skill, confirming the class choice. The skill trees have between 2 to 4 skills just on the first choice row, which means you can pick up 2 skills of your choice, or you could choose to pick up 1 skill and make it 2 times as strong, investing all 2 spare points, or finally, you could put all 3 points into the class base root skill, which gives you plenty of stats the game thinks might be good for you, depending on what class you pick. For the casters, for example, a better mana pool and more ints to get that mana regen going. And you still are not done. You now also get to manually put in some stat points into one of the 5 levelable stats. We have Depth. On Diablo 3 you get 1 more spell. You don't get to pick it. It goes on your right click to make 1 skill on your left click, and 1 skill on your right click. That's it. And you still won't have used a health potion yet. 1 major point to Titan's Quest. What the game gives you on level 3. Usually you would expect this to be just like level 2, but both of these games do something a little different from what you might expect. On Titan's Quest, to get to the next tier of skills, you must have put a certain amount of points into the class base root skill. Now that doesn't necessarily mean you will get boring levels, in air quotes, where you would get nothing but base root skill. You can simply budget as many points as you like per level into the class base root skill, and put remaining points into skills you did or did not put points into before, keeping the choice as your own. Again, like level 2, you get to put more stat points in where you want them, and you can still be gaining more spells, up to 4, depending on your class, out of the first tier of the skill tree. On Diablo 3, you get an option to replace your first spell with another spell. So you think at this point in the game you have 3 spells. Well, you do in theory, but you are only ever allowed by the game to have 2 of these 3 spells out. Now if you think that isn't very cool, you better get used to it. These spell choices will always be like this, and it only gets worse as you get a bigger library. You can never have those 2 spells available to you at the same time, and you still won't have used a health potion at this point. Minor point to Titan's Quest. What the game gives you by level 8. Bit of a weird milestone again, but you'll see why. Titan's Quest has just given you access to a second class. Yep, you just doubled your fun. You might have any number of spells that you can cast now. Hotkey them all up, including buffs, damage spells, snares, slows, and pets. Now you can supplement that with a whole new class. You could go for a wacky combination, or a logical supplement. It's up to you. You still only have 3 points to spend per level, so your choices are still very personalized. Diablo 3, on the other hand, has been giving you spells and taking them away from you. The game has forced you to have between 3 to 4 spells, 1 on left click, 1 on right click, and a spell on button 1 and 2 if you're lucky, assuming the default controls. While you have a few more spells in your arsenal, and some customizations on those spells that we'll cover in a minute, the game doesn't want you to have these spells available to you when you want. Major point Titan's Quest. Rune system. Could this be the thing that sways the battle in Diablo 3's favor? In Diablo 3 you get a rune system to give old spells new life by giving them a new effect. You can only choose one of these new effects to add to an old spell, as they can't be active simultaneously. Surely this is a new innovation worthy of praise, right? Well, no. In Titan's Quest, you also get to add new effects to old spells. Doing so isn't considered a special privilege that needs a title. You can just do it. There are plenty of spells that add new effects that you can choose to add to them, and you can have all of them on the spell at once. After all, you brought them with skill points, so they are yours to use. But Diablo 3 feels although you earned those levels, you may only play with one at a time. One major point, Titan's Quest. Stat depth. More complexities means more customization options and things to think about. In Titan's Quest you have strength, dexterity, intelligence, armor value, health, mana, several elements, and the resistances to those elements. Stuns, slows, mana burns, energy resistance, bleeding damage, offensive ability, defensive ability, which are hit and dodge rates. And your rating in these stats can affect what you can and cannot wear. And you can find special status effects, both rare and common. In Diablo 3 you have strength, dexterity, intelligence, armor value, health and mana. Several elements, but only int gives you resistance, so they won't throw any real elemental damage at you, as you won't have massive int on any character that isn't int based, and that makes it feel quite pointless. Again, dodge is rolled into dex and extra armor rolled into strength. The game keeps a really tight leash on how much of these stats you get, and you won't find a lot of stat gear, and you can't decide to pick up a lot of strength or hybridize, as you don't get to choose stats per level. And without stats customizing your character, you can just pick up and wear anything except some class exclusives. It didn't feel like your character earned the right to equip things, as it doesn't require you to be strong to wear that heavy armor, or highly intelligent to wear that wizard's robe. This is a real letdown in my opinion. Major point to Titan's Quest. World mechanics. More than just a flat surface to put monsters on. In Titan's Quest, the world doesn't really go out of its way to interact with you. But if you do a really large damage attack that overkilled the monster you were attacking, you are greeted with a special animation to show how badass you just were, showing off some physics effects when they hit the floor. Very neat, while also being useless. In Diablo 3, the world has some scripted buildings that fall down, and when it happens, I just kinda stood in front of it waiting for something to happen. But that's really it. You pass by and something falls over. And later on you will see packs of monsters standing perfectly still under some cheesy chandelier setups, or next to an obvious wall that collapses. These events always look and animate the same, and they are sickeningly copy-pasted all over the place to death. They are just a real eyesore and feel really cheesy. Dropping your 15th chandelier on monsters? Yawn. Minor point for Diablo 3 for trying to bring the world alive, at least, and fumbling. Voice acting. Because it's nice to hear a voice rather than just reading a wedge of text. In Diablo 3, some people are heralding the voice acting as something you don't see in these games, and a masterwork idea compared to Blizzard's other main game. You have some voice work for the quest, villager conversations, some monster lore, books, and a follower if you are playing single player. Most of it's pretty brief, but it's there. If you just jump to the bandwagon from Blizzard's World of Warcraft, then yes, it doesn't really have many voice quests at all. But we are comparing it to Titan's Quest. There are more towns that you pass through with more quests and more plain villagers. They seem to want to talk to you rather than get you out of the way. And these large voice conversations go a long way. But I really do like the monster lore snippets you get in Diablo 3. Minor point to Titan's Quest, and minor point to Diablo 3. Crafting. Additional random luck minigame with which to keep your interest indirectly. In Diablo 3, at a certain point in the game, you get a blacksmith. You can smash a magic item down to basic magic components. You can then use some of these magic components to make a new magic item that has a random effect on it. You also have to throw your character's money to the blacksmith for the rest of the game if you want what he can make to keep up with your character's level. Pretty basic. In Titan's Quest, chests and monsters drop, and let's face it, you're in these games to kill monsters, not watch a crafting bar in town. Magical crafting parts, named after the Greek gods and monster types. These items as they are could be affixed to weapons and armor, or combined with ones of the same type into stacks of 3 or 5. They then, in addition to the combined effect, give you a randomly obtained magical effect, and then after that there are patterns in the world that can combine multiple different magical slates into artifacts that can be worn by the character. So you have 3 layers of depth to what you can do here that goes far beyond smashing and rebuilding. But what if you put a cool charm on an old piece of gear that is now aging? Well, Titan's Quest allows you to recycle your old items with a magic rune on to reclaim either the rune or the item, and once more you are free to rebuild it onto another item that's better, or to trade it to a friend or store it. Major point, Titan's Quest. Side quests. Other things that happen while you're trying to save the world, right? Diablo 3 has some side quests you'll find around that are randomly replaced out of a pool of side quests. One example is you find some skeletons from a haunted urn, or you get to fight some skeletons from some haunted remains. I didn't make that up. There could be even more, and it could be a pool of 3 or 4. You get one of these at random quests. In Titan's Quest, however, you see more side quests, and they are all always available to you. Would you rather have one side quest and get another one a different time, or would you rather have 7 that are always there? The cool replayability factor that seemed to be there in Diablo 3's method is just artificial. They literally made a ton of side quests to entertain you and then took almost all of them away. Back on to Titan's Quest, some of the side quests you complete offer you a skill point and stat points, and that's what I call a reward. One major point, Titan's Quest. Layout. Is random layouts an amazing innovation, neutrally forgettable, or a visual fumble? In Titan's Quest, there isn't any area that are randomized. It's a well thought out linear path that's tailored by the developers. If you come across 3 paths in the game, the same one would always be correct, with the other 2 being bonus exploration areas. But everything that is there is well made. In Diablo 3, the game picks from a few random layouts in some of the areas. Massive areas are still linear. One time I went through a dungeon that was the same on 3 floors. Not similar, but the same. It's built out of set pieces that fit together at the ends, you see. The game reminds me of Scalextric's tracks. On the one hand, you could say there are infinite possibilities and play up how amazing that is. But on the other hand, you could say that the 90-degree corner piece is exactly the same wherever you put it. And man, will you ever see a lot of 90-degree corner pieces. Back to in-game terms, you will see the same set pieces over and over and over, and you'll get sick of it. While Diablo 3 tries to mix it up for your next playthrough, it falls very far short of even making the first playthrough less repetitive. Minor point Titan's Quest for polish, 1 minor point for Diablo 3 for trying to make your other playthroughs a new game. Setting. Where do these games take place again? Titan's Quest doesn't just take place in some dark dungeon. It takes place in a mythical Greece. You get to see Leonidas and the Spartans. You see beaches and forests, plains and cities, and fight from boars to creatures of legend. In Diablo 3, you are in that same mythical church, again. I think it's a safe bet you are after Diablo, again, and that there is a bumbling Cain, again. You can tell I've had enough of it, but to be fair, that's what some sequels do. As a comparison, though, it's mostly about preference, so it's not enough for Diablo 3 to lose a point here. As for monsters, you fight maggots to mythical creatures. Minor point for Titan's Quest for taking us somewhere else. Minor points for Diablo 3 for nostalgia. Mods. The unpaid developers, artists, and modelers in the community. You can modify Titan's Quest. There's community bug fixes, community stories, community skins, complete overhauls, and the list goes on. Diablo 3 cannot and will never be modded. Blizzard have disabled your ability to do so. There will never be any mod tools, and you won't even be able to adapt anything in single player, as that is all done online too. If you ever thought community-driven content made a game, then you will not be a big fan of this. Hands up if you played World of Warcraft without any mods at all, ever. 1 major point, Titan's Quest. Play when you want, offline versus Battle.net. Titan's Quest enjoying your single-player game and the net goes out? Or Games by Arcade goes down? Not a problem. Even when you play multiplayer, you can still probably direct connect to each other, as Games by Arcade seems to just power the searching engine, and you host from your own computer. In Diablo 3, if you're enjoying your single-player game and the net goes out, or Battle.net goes down, you are screwed. You now can't play and you might have lost a ton of progress, even items. You are equally in trouble if you're playing multiplayer. And let's not forget server maintenance, patches, and any other downtime means you cannot play what you brought. As a final note, if you are playing on hardcore mode and you get some lag on Battle.net, that isn't your fault. Your character is deleted if you die. Major point, Titan's Quest. Backing up your characters. Character saving versus Battle.net. I don't know about you, but I like to back up my files. These days it's really painless with USB hard drives, the internet, and the cheap cost of internal hard drives. That means your Titan's Quest characters are safe from deletion, with the power to make as many backups as you deem necessary. In Diablo 3, however, Blizzard have all your files and progress. Aside from all the problems with connectivity mentioned before, they will never hand over your character files. And even if you did get them to, you wouldn't be able to use them. Why? Well, your game client is reading those files specifically from the Battle.net server, so they are useless to you. If anything happens to their data, you are the one who will lose out. Major point, Titan's Quest. Price. The price of the game seems to be getting unreasonable again. Titan's Quest is old. You can find this in a bargain bin in a shop for practically nothing, and we love our digital internet age, and we can buy it on Steam with the expansions for practically nothing. And on a holiday event, even cheaper. Specifically at this time, Titan's Quest Gold non-sale price is £10. And while it's not accurate to just convert my currency into yours, it might give you an idea of the price. $8.50 or 12.2 euros. You can almost buy 4 copies of Titan's Quest for one Diablo 3 and surprise some friends. As for Diablo 3, well, it's new. It's a fortune in the shops. The problem only gets worse with a digital copy from Blizzard because they don't ever deviate from the one price. It will still cost too much to buy it from Blizzard even when you are in your grave. At the time of this video, I'd have to pay £33 to buy it from Amazon. Again, it's not accurate to just convert my currency into yours, but it might give you an idea of the price. $28.50 or 40 euros. Major point, Titan's Quest. Cash shop. Oh, of course, the cash... Wait, what? Diablo 3 has a real cash shop. In a game of this sort, it doesn't need to be there. It's just a way to get their hands on more of your money. You'll get less out of the game you brought if you use a real cash shop to equip your character. It's really cringeworthy that this even exists. If you think you're going to make money out of this, you might be being a little naive. The only people who are really going to make money out of this is Blizzard. Titan's Quest does not have a cash shop. If you really wanted to cheat your way through the game, I suppose that is your prerogative. And if you want, you could just mod the game for free. There are even different gradients of cheating you could employ. You could make the chests and mobs just have better chances for items, directly drop items into the world, and even have every class tree unlocked at once. There, I just saved you a whole ton of cash. Major point, Titan's Quest. Interface. Your tools are linking you to your character. In Titan's Quest, the interface is pretty standard. You only get one health and mana bar, which I think makes good use of the screen space to make room for more of the playing field. The damage font isn't exactly clear though, and requires mods to set it up the way I think looks nice. In Diablo 3, the damage font is just amazing, and the damage numbers can easily be turned on. Although the options in the options menu are limited, they are part of the game. One thing that annoys me in the game, but has pleased the other people I know, is that there are 2 health bars in the game. Now I think that wastes a lot of space, and it doesn't need to be listed twice, but the health bar in the bottom left here I'm told is good for ease of looking. 1 minor point for Titan's Quest, 1 minor point for Diablo 3. Achievements. Food for the OCD. Titan's Quest has no achievements, not even if you buy it on Steam. Diablo 3 has a whole truckload of achievements. Seems like they spent a lot of development time on this. 1 minor point for Diablo 3. Class replayability. Getting your money's worth. Titan's Quest has 8 classes, a 9th with its expansion pack. And at level 8 you can cross-class with any other. There's a whole lot of replayability, even if I somehow could overlook cross-classing. That's 9 very significant playthroughs. Diablo 3 has a respectable 5 classes, plenty enough fun, but this is a battle of games. 1 major point, Titan's Quest. Levels replayability. Getting your money's worth. Titan's Quest has 3 difficulties that must be played through on each character to advance to the next one. It's enough to keep anyone entertained for a long time. Diablo 3 has 4 difficulties that must be played through on each character to advance to the next one, and the ability to make a hardcore character that is deleted upon any death. Well played, Diablo 3, for offering more. 1 major point, Diablo 3. Random bosses. He wasn't here last time. Titan's Quest has a whole bunch of random bosses with names that give reference to popular culture or other games. Diablo 3 also has just as many random bosses with names that give reference to the same things. My favourite one of note has to be the Golden Axe Imp, who shows up and basically does nothing but run away as you attack him for loot. It's good to see this tradition kept up. 1 minor point for Titan's Quest, and 1 minor point for Diablo 3. Now that the points are tallied, there's only 2 more sections left. Firstly, let's get down to business. Do I think you should buy Titan's Quest? Well, yes I do. And I think there are really only a few circumstances where you should buy Diablo 3 first, and those are: you look around you, you are using a Blizzard game mouse and mouse mat. Your coffee cup has a Blizzard game on it. You are surrounded by Blizzard posters. It's obvious you have a desire to own things with a certain brand on it, and you should probably get Diablo 3 right now. Or you've already got Titan's Quest. You've played it to death, you are done. Move on, my man. Or you must have new things. You use the phrase 2000 and late a lot, and you simply can't stand being around something that might have been sitting there long enough to gather dust. Or lastly, you are an achievement hound. You want Diablo 3 before the server is even online. You are going to be the first to max level, and you are damn well going without sleep until you have the screenshot to prove it. Assuming you are none of these people, though, I urge you to give Titan's Quest a good look, and if you've had a solid group lined up to play Diablo 3, why don't you play Titan's Quest instead? Like I said earlier, you can even afford to buy it for everyone. Will I be buying Diablo 3? Yes, as the pickings are slim for action RPGs, and I've played my fair share of Titan's Quest. And here is the last section. I mentioned at the beginning 2 other games. The first of these is Torchlight. Did you know that the original Diablo 3 was cancelled? Well, the designers for Diablo 1 and 2 didn't work on this Diablo 3. They actually went off and made Torchlight. So if you think Diablo 3 is going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread because of the respect you had for both Diablo 1 and 2, you should really check out these guys instead. The second of the 2 games I mentioned is Grim Dawn. Like Torchlight for early Diablo fans, this game has the main people who made Titan's Quest. What it is behind it. They want to do another game, they don't have the money to do so. It's sickening that they want to make a kick-ass choice-field action RPG that doesn't hold your hand, as they put it, and they can't get the money together to do it. Almost everything here is clickable: subscribe, channel page, and Grim Dawn Kickstarter project page. I would have linked to some stores, but you probably don't want to buy these things from the UK stores unless you are in the UK. See you on the next video, and don't forget to leave a comment below.